Hello, welcome back if you already joined the previous sessions, and hasn't it been a great conference so far? I'm delighted to have with me now Richard Seidl, who's going to talk about 5 habits to survive as a software tester, which I know is going to be absolutely fabulous. It's always a delight to hear you speak, Richie. Quickly, to anyone who is watching and who has a question, pop it into the comments bar, and Richie will try to answer at the end of the session. So please do that. And listen carefully, everybody, because we're also going to be asking you to vote for your best speaker. So pay attention, because I know Richie's got a lot of good things to say. Okay, over to you, Richie.
Thank you very much, Debbie. And thank you for the invitation here to the A4Q Testing Summit. I have to excuse my voice. I was 4 days now at the Tony Robbins event. And if you know Tony Robbins, there is a lot of heavy things happen there. A lot of dancing and singing and screaming and crying and all this stuff. It's mind blowing. So maybe I have to set up my voice a few times in the presentation. Yeah, thank you to join me here at this conference and to invest this time and and your energy into this topic, which is I think very important for the future for us as a tester or in the testing community. Because we live in an extraordinary changing world. You all see it every day, like AI and all this stuff is happening. And so we will discuss today, or I will show you some things I think are maybe very helpful to focus in the future, to get a better relationship with our colleagues in our teams, to maybe set up the next level in your career or in your business, and to do much better impact as a software tester in the future. So I'm working with clients since 25 years now in the software testing branch, and tested a lot of software and worked with a lot of people. And when I look at tester and test manager, how they are doing their jobs and what they focus on, so I extracted somehow 5 habits that make a good tester, a flexible resilience tester, to force and to join the future. And so I want to share with you these 5 habits for you, so that you can master the future that is coming to us. Shortly, my name is Richard Seidl. You see it there. I'm doing software testing and software quality. This is one of my passionate lifestyle. I do it a long time, wrote a bunch of books about it. I'm doing the podcast software testing in German since last year. And it's always, for me, a big part to help people to do their better job, to make tester and test manager better. And so I'm now doing a lot of business in companies where there's such a mentoring and a coaching of test automation engineers or test manager to make their jobs better. So let's start. When we look at the technology, these are photos from me, I think 1 or 2 years ago. No, in when I was a young boy, and the computer arises and the software arises, it was a great thing to do all the programming stuff and to do the computer stuff. And in former times, the software was very, very easy to use, very easy to, not easy to program, but easy in their complexity. They were very simple, and you see everything the software does and can change it where you want. But these things, changed in the last years. And if we look at the innovation of technology, it's an exponential growth. We see it especially in the last 2 years, where all this AI stuff got into our world, and we think, okay, what can we all do with this thing? And we see it in all these hypes are going on in the last years. It was the blockchain technology, all the cloud technologies. So there's a very big movement and a very big change already happening in our world. And so our world is changing dramatically. And what we have to think of as a tester, as a test manager, a quality engineer, or even a developer is that the most changing parts are always driven by software today. So all this AI stuff, all the things that are all software parts, and you know it the best, software has to be tested. So there is a lot of things to test today, and there will be a lot to test in the next years. And even if we can support us with AI, with tools and all this stuff, we will have a bunch of things to do in the next years, and I don't think that that the tester will get obsolete in the next 10 years. So there is a lot of things to do. And if I go to my clients and I do my mentoring program with them, and they often ask me, "Yeah, Richie, can you tell me what should I focus on when I will learn, when I will growth? What can I focus? What is the part I have to look at?" And I will share with you this 5 parts I've in my buffet for my clients, where I think you can deep dive into it and learn and get better in it. And so what do we need as this software tester? I think the first thing, and this is, I have to say this about 20 years now, is to mastering all the basics we have. So we are learning test methods, test levels, test types, all this stuff. And we have a big knowledge about that. We have a lot of literature, we have blogs, we have podcasts, YouTube, where we can see all this basic stuff we need to testing. But if we look at the projects, do we use them? So do we know it, or do we use the techniques? And I think there is a very big gap, because I see a lot of people in the quality area who are not using all this stuff we know, all these techniques, all these test levels and these test types. So there is a gap we have to close, and it's just to say, tester, do your homework. And I remember a client where I was a few years ago, and I come in there, and I always look at what are they doing right now, and I see, oh, they have a very cool tool for static analysis. It's the SonarCube. It was the enterprise edition, so the most paid edition you can buy, and it runs on every build in the pipeline. It was a great thing. And in one of these meetings, I asked the project lead, so what do you do with the outcomes of these tools? And they said, yeah, there are a lot of outcomes, and we don't have the time to use it. And I think static analysis is one part. It's so easy. We have a lot of tools which can do that. And it's so a no-brainer to use this output of this analysis. So why don't we do that? On the other side, I see testers who learn the techniques like equivalation, partitioning, boundary value, all this stuff. But when I look at their test cases, I don't see it. I don't see where are these techniques in there. So I think we have to close this gap to use these methods we learn in ISTQB and in all the other stuff to make our homework. I don't want to go to a chef in a restaurant if he doesn't know any recipes. So I also don't want the tester that he does his test cases on a intuitive basis. You can do intuitive testing, but you have to do the basics at first. So I think there is a gap, and there are good programs for training this, like the A4Q practical test that you heard today, or you will hear also, where you can learn to train these techniques in practice to get it into your job. So testers, do your homework. The second part I want, which is a very, very important habit, I think, is it's all the stuff about communication. And in the last 20 years, when I'm doing projects and working with clients, I see the tester is the most time the person with the most knowledge about everything in the project. Why? Because he has to do. He has to know it. He has to talk to the architect, to the business analyst, to requirements engineer, to the project lead, to the developer, to the test automation team, to ops, to security, to a UX designer. To all these people, he has to talk to make a good job. And to make it this job, you have to communicate. As a tester, I cannot sit there in my room and talk to nobody and wait for my test bases and then do my test cases. I have to talk to the people because you need all this information. And one of the greatest things I think we can do in this part is asking questions. So as a tester, we need very good information about the system. It's easier if you're a developer. You see the architecture, you see the requirements and user stories maybe, and you can think about what to do and can be creative and fill the gaps you don't see in the documentations with your creativity. As a tester, I cannot fill the gaps because what should I write for test cases if I don't know what the requirements are or what the system should do? So we have to ask. And I think of one of my first projects. It was a great project, and there was a tester, and we decided at first to make a list of questions because we had a lot of questions in all this stuff around the project. We don't find the documentation, and it was very lacky, and so we put a list and had about 50 questions in this list. And in one meeting, we began to ask these questions. Some may think they were stupid questions, but they were not stupid. So if with every questions we ask in this meeting, we saw that the business analysts and the project lead get sweaty and make notes and try to answer this, but cannot and do not know who wants it. And yeah, long story short, what happened was after this meeting, the project got paused because they realized there is a lot of things to do. Nobody knows all the things, and they have to refactor their requirements and their whole project plan to make a better software. So as a tester, we are in this spider web of people in the center. So we have to get this knowledge, and the best way is to ask. So we have to need communication skills. And if you communicate with people, they are all other. There is a project lead, maybe he's very pushy. There are business analysts who are not always there. You have all this remote stuff. So communication is not easy, but you have to learn it and you have to use it. The third part is also something about to learn, because we have to learn all the stuff we need now and we will need. What do I mean by that? I think it's if you want to make a good job in the future, you have always to look what is state of the art now in software engineering technology, in development methods, in tools they are using, in upcoming, maybe new shiny things. You don't have to do always a deep dive into the things, but you have to look what helps you with your job and what helps you to make your job good. And maybe you are using AI tools like GPTs or something else. Maybe you have to look. If you say, oh no, I don't want coding, all this techie stuff is nothing for me. I want to push you a little bit. Look in there, learn something coding. You can now learn coding with all the AI stuff very easy. And you have to not to be a senior developer on the next day or a senior test automation engineer, but you have to get a feeling about all this technology to see where you can use them and where they can help you to make a better job. I think one one big part is there is all this AI stuff. So it's now a very simple interface to get information about methods, about how to program something. And if it's just a little script you use, so you get a little spirit of that, what is behind this technology. Or maybe you read a book about software architecture and to understand more how does software work. Or use something like an automation tool to make, to not just say, oh no, I'm only a manual tester, but to learn how to do this. And really sad, if I look at the market now, people, manual tester who get into the coding stuff now earn much more money than before, because these are people, they are searched everywhere now. So think about what you have to learn to make a good job tomorrow or in the next year. And I say it again, it's not about a deep dive into studying of how to do unit tests in Java environments, in this and that. Just have a general overview and look what interests you and where can you broaden your knowledge. And the fourth habit I suggest to you is one part I'm dealing the last 10 years with it. It's to simplify your work. And I want to give you a quote here that complexity is the enemy of execution. And if we look at our business as a tester in our software projects, on our markets, in our companies, there is a lot of complexity, and it's even getting more every day. Behind there is a very typically bias of us people. If we want to solve a problem, we more often add something to the system than to subtract something or remove something of the system. So we are always adding things. We are doing new features, new tools, and another tool, and another test automation tool, and another step in the process, and another review step. And we are building up a very, very complex system. But the more complex the system gets and the processes get, it's not easy to execute them and to get them done. So it's really, I think it's a very, 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 very big habit to learn how can I simplify my work and the work of the project. Last year I met a tester at my mentoring program, and he was obsessed by AI and by doing this stuff, by simplifying his job. And he has a big problem. All the requirement stuff he get from business analysis and requirements engineering, it was all with gaps and some flaky things and not really clear. So he wrote a prompt in the ChatGPT to check these requirements if they are strong enough to test them. And then he gave this prompt to the BA and said, so please, before you give me this user story or this requirement, please check it with this prompt. And if there are any findings, please correct them. And then I have a better basis. So he simplified the work because he doesn't have to write down all these questions again and go back to the BA and ask, and what should it mean? And all this stuff, which can happen if a requirement is not clear enough. So look at how you can simplify your task. You can reduce your tools or do something more automation. There is another great example I would mention here. If you know that I'm doing the software testing podcast in German now over a year with an episode every week. And maybe you can mention the development and the post-production of such episode is a lot of things to do. You have to do all the social media stuff, all the invitation of guests, all the exchange, what information do I need from the guest, and making the cover pictures and transcribe the podcast episode and think about what can I ask. It's a lot of things. What I've done, I've looked at this process. Where are there is a lot of complexity in there and tried to automate this stuff. And so I have now an easy life with the podcast, easier than last year, because every episode is very easy to execute. So I think it's what this will be in our very complex world, a very special skill to simplify things and to have the overview about what you are doing and what you have already done. And the fifth habit I want to give to you, and I think it's nearly the important one of all, the most important one of all of these five, is to invest in your personal development. So maybe you think now, I'm a software tester. I don't. What should I do with personal development, with personal growth? I think we have to all to deal with all the things happen in our world, in our businesses, in our companies, in our projects, in our personal life. And I think for a lot of people, it's not an easy time now. And we testers are always in a very strange position in projects where we have to think about all this stuff. So to handle this stuff and to get more resilient with them, to think about if you have before the communication part, if you have a fear of asking questions, so you can work on your inner life and to overcome these things. And so I would and that's a good benefit for our whole life, and not just as testers, but I think especially for the testing area, it's very good to be resilient and not being a victim and say, oh no, that process is so a crap, and the tools are always buggy and the software is buggy, and what should I test? So, but to get more about this, okay, how can I support this? How can I make better quality? How can I evolve quality in my life as an attitude? What are my values behind that? What are my beliefs? Do I think all the project leads are just talking and don't have any experience of anything? Or what do I think about my colleagues? What can I change and what want I change? How can I put more courage into my life, into my project? And if you see that a lot of these parts are already addressed by the so-called agile things we do today. But I think we can much more view on this in the project, because I don't think that the world would get easier in the next years. It will get more complex and more uncertain. So we have only one thing we can rely on, and this are we ourselves. So the work on ourselves in this project, in the team context, is essential for the future. So I want to push you something that you go in this direction and work with yourself and work in your inner life. And when I do my mentoring program, I started a few years ago. I had a tester, was a junior tester, has nothing to do with any of software development before. Get hired as a software tester, began clicking, and was a very shy guy, and was not asking a lot of questions, trying to do his job, but was not really happy in all this area. And we worked with him and the whole team. And in this 5 years I work with him now, he's now a senior tester, and he's so much comfortable in this role. He's the person who is asked for things. He's leading the quality topics in this project. He talks to management, to the upper management, to the C-level, with no fear, with no hiding himself. So it's very fantastic for me to see how he grows and did his way. And now if I look at him, he's also much happier than before in his job and in his role. So I think the personal development is one essential part we have to do, and we can address more in our life as a tester. And I think the goal is not only for us as a tester or test manager or test automation engineer, but also for the whole team or the software developer and the business analysts and Scrum Master. Well, what do we have in the project is to get quality on a level that it's not more anything like we are testing around something, but it gets an attitude and we can live quality as a whole team and in my personal life as a tester too. And then I can deal with all these things that come to our testers' life, like Cyber Resilience Act and AI Act and Usability Act, all this stuff which is coming. We can deal with it if we live quality as an attitude in the project, in the companies and in our life. Yeah, that's my 5 habits I want to give you, and I hope you have a lot of questions about them or things. If you want more insights, just here, just scan the code, take out your phone, follow me on LinkedIn, and if you want anything that we can talk about, your next steps, maybe on your journey to get into these 5 habits. So don't hesitate, book a free call with me and we can talk about it. So thank you very much. And I hope you have a lot of questions for me.
Hello, Richie. That was great. You're very energized after your weekend, aren't you?
Yes. I should sell Tony Robbins tickets too.
Absolutely. Do we have some questions? Looking to the team here, and let's see if we can get some questions up on screen for you. From Ariel de la Cruz, how do you conquer the language barrier to have better communications for a better outcome of a project?
Yeah, that's a big point. Was for me too, because my English is it's now better than in the past. But on my first projects, I have I had the fear to talk because of my English, and if English is the main part we talk about. I had a very good tip. What I get from my mentor is to hear audiobooks and watch movies in English and not in their own language, and that helps me much more to get into this language. If it's not English, it's not that easy. But I would always just suggest, if this is a barrier for you, go into it. There are apps like Duolingo and so on. You can Japanese and now learn Italian since a half year, and to get better in this and talk to people and overcome this barrier of talking and this fear and talk to them. And in English, it's much easier because on international area, a lot of people speak their English, yes. And it's that's you can understand everything.
Richie, a question for you associated with that. Is it just about the language being English or whatever? Is there more about the vocabulary and the words used within a team so everybody understands what we're really meaning?
Yeah, I think it's in the technical parts of technical business vocabulary. It's not so easy because we have to learn it. But in the software engineering, we have a good benefit because the most vocabulary is in English. And if we were talking about software development, you have the pipelines, and I don't know if other languages say other than pipelines or CI/CD or all this stuff. So we have if you look at ISTQB, there is a main glossary which is in English where you can translate always on the website in the appropriate language to use the words. Yeah.
That's really helpful. Really helpful. Some more questions? Honor Sven Trump, what would be an important 6th habit to survive?
the bonus habit.
The bonus habit, yeah.
I think one important habit is the personal development is a very big part. But I think also how do we look at other people and their opinion? I think we are now in a very, I would say, isolated world out there. We are talking all with our smartphones and don't get if there are other opinions which are not in our filter bubble. We are always doing this and say you are not a good person, you are an idiot, go away from me, I don't want to talk to you. We see that on all levels, in the society and in voting, in everything, in the questions about which concerns our society. So I think it's a very good habit to hold out this other opinions, to stand and, okay, you have another opinion than me. That's okay. Let's talk about it, but not in the way I'm right, you're wrong.
Yes,
but to get an understanding of each other. And all this social media stuff is doing the other side. There are algorithms and all this stuff in LinkedIn, and so they're putting our filter bubble together with people who talk and think identically to us. And that's not, I think, a good part. So we can stand up and talk to people who have other opinions. I think this would be a great habit. Also, especially as a tester, because we are often in the position where other people have other opinions. If I talk to a developer, I say, this is a bug. No, it's not a bug. So to learn to deal with that, I think it's essential.
Yeah, I think so too. Other questions? Can we rely on AI tools to simplify our work? Won't it make the person a bit lazy and might not understand the output of the AI?
I think this is a very tricky part. I think we have to combine it with the personal development part. If you're not very mature in how you do your stuff on a daily basis, or how your project works, if this is not very mature, AI won't help you much, because you will get into that you think that is right what the AI said, and think about it and use it as it is. But to get that was for me the good learning, to see, okay, AI is a good sparring partner for me. I can ask something, I get a feedback, I ask something again, and I think, oh, no, that's bullshit what you say. But to play with it, and to get it, I started scripting and programming again 2 years ago with the help of AI. I let it down a lot of years, but now I have fun to check my code with AI and look, what can I make better? And sometimes it's crap and sometimes it works. So we can use our tester skills to be very detailed and look on the small things if we talk to an AI, and to be very critic there.
So certainly not making you lazy if you treat it as a sparring partner. I like that phrase. Great. Next question. You have your podcast in German. Are you planning to have it in English in the future? I'd second this question. Your podcast.
Maybe.
Oh, you let us know, Richie. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for the question, Juliana. Next question. From Justka, implementing all of these habits at once can be overwhelming. If doing them one by one, which should one start with?
Oh, I think a lot of these habits are, we have to see them a little bit of an agile way of implementing them in increments and step by step. And I don't think there is a goal we can achieve in this. So if you look at personal development, it's a lifelong thing. We can learn, we can think about our vision, our values, beliefs, and I can do it next year again and think, oh, okay, I have what do I believe now, and what are my values now? But when I would always start with this personal development, because that's I think the most important thing. And then as a tester, if I look at my business, I would decide which one would help me much more than the other. if I see, okay, the test cases are all very flowering and not very structured, I would do the mastering of the basics. If I see nobody talks here, nobody's asking question, I would focus on the communication part. So I would decide which one helps me to do a better job in the next half year maybe, or next 2 months, and then go into it and do 2 months, and then you cannot learn the basics all the time and train them all the time. So you have to switch to get something new, and then switch them to communication, or to looking which task you can automate or something. So I think it's making a playing with them. So don't be there so strict and strong.
I guess also this reinforces, one of the key skills that any of us should have, which is adaptability. The question quickly on the back of this one is, how do you go about measuring how you are developing these skills?
We in quality, we always want to measure everything. I think here's the measure. There are different measures. If I look at my personal development, it's all about one question: Am I happy with the stuff I do? And do I relate to people? Are they happy with me? Do I'm feeling happy with them in my team? And so and this can increase. If I feel more gratitude to go to work, which can happen, you can be grateful to go to work. So these are the measures, but you feel them. In the basic thing, if you're going to like train with the A4Q practical tester to get more deep into the test techniques. So there you can measure your outcome of better test cases. So I would look for this, because this makes you also proud of yourself if you see, okay, my test cases are now much better than before.
Thank you. We've still got a couple of moments, so let's see if we've got another question. Ivo, thank you. How to better implement test design techniques in practice. Very often my test steps come from a decision table or equivalence classes, but if I document this formally, I would overburden the project.
Yeah, I think that there's a very big truth in there. You are using the technique to get your test steps, and then you can make your test case in whatever form you do. You don't have to use the tables or the classes document formally. What I mention is to use these methods, these techniques, what you do here. So, and you can do it on a paper. Sometimes it's enough to get a paper, and then I have maybe 4 to 5 ideas for test cases, and then transform them into the test cases. So if I don't have the regulatory to make this step documented, I don't think I do that. It's important to do the technique before, and then write down the test cases based on the of the output.
Thank you. Thank you, Ivo, for that question. In your opinion, how long can manuals survive as opposed to automatical ones? So manual versus automated testing, I guess.
I think the manual testing will stay a long time because of trust. If I think of AI and automated stuff, we can test a lot. But if I look at the projects, I'm working mainly with our big companies. I don't think the manual test is useless there, because there are so many gaps, there are so many lacks in all this stuff, from documentation up to the architecture, to the code, to the implementation, the UI, the processes. And through the complexity, it's always good to have a manual part who's looking on that. And you have always to think that the tools, they help you to make a better job, but you are the tester, you are generating the test cases. If I stupidly do only test cases based from the architecture chart, or from, I heard one who did their unit test cases based on the source code, and was happy they were all green. Yeah, I think they will be all green. But if they are doing the right thing, and if there are good test cases, I have to check manually. And I think there will be a lot of we have to use the manual testing skills a lot in the future. But it's getting heavier. We are not. We cannot make 20 test cases to test everything like what we can do automated. We have to use the automation part, but we have to think manually.
Another question? I'm watching the clock a little bit here, but we're good at the moment. Perhaps we don't have any more. Okay, so if there are any final questions, we do have literally a minute left. Oh, yeah. It always happens. Ramia, I had a good experience in the field of software testing, but how can I return to the field of testing after a 3-year break? I now live in Germany. Are there certain steps that you can advise me of?
I think as I know, or as I see the market in Germany now, Germany is very quality driven. So there is a market for software testing with every experience. And I think if you have paused for 3 years, that's a no-brainer. You can step into a testing job and get there in very very quick again, because the basics are still the same like in the 70s. So, but now a little bit transformed to modern technology. But I think this is no problem. I would look at some maybe some practical experience in a company or in a consulting company. They're always looking for people who come back. And I think that the whole testing branch, there is a very a lack of good people who join and go their career path there. So, but maybe Ramia, you can write me on LinkedIn, and we can talk about it. Maybe I have an idea for you.
That's really nice. And I'm just thinking about that, Richard, your CV, you've got a career gap like that, a change in career. There must be kind of some transposable skills, things that you can emphasize in your CV that says, okay, I haven't been testing, but I've been still developing myself and my skills. So the habits that you talked about earlier apply to everything we do, really. So maybe think about the CV a little bit as well, then how you're going to position that. Let's see if we can fit in maybe 1 or 2 more questions quickly. Sarata, how can I convince my company to use more test stages instead of just the acceptance testing? I mean, convincing top management that testing only causes costs.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's a big problem in companies, because if there is no pain, there is no growth in this area always. Yeah, that's not an easy path. There are, I think, different ways. You can wait until all crashes, then the awareness is there, and but I think I would just suggest a lot of companies start where quality initiatives begin, starting on a very smart core of people who publish this in the company. Even if because of the management is not aware of this quality stuff. So I would suggest got your fellows in your company, in your team, on other teams, in ops, in BA, who say, we are testing too less. We have to test more, and then get them together and think about the strategy, how maybe you can put in steps where you don't need the management awareness, maybe to do some reviews or get another test stage implemented. Maybe you find a developer who wants to make a small integration test, and to let it grow from the bottom. Or you connect me with the CEO and I talk to them.
Chat. Richard's on his way. Let's try one more quickly. Kenzo, is there anything else there? Ariel again. Ariel, thank you so much for your questions. What do you think of manual testing in the future? Nowadays, automated testers are more in demand. It's a little bit following on from the question we had earlier. Do you
Yeah.
still place manual testing?
Yes, I think manual testing has a place in the future a lot, but I would suggest if you're a manual tester today with no coding or technical skills, I would suggest to put it on your skill list to learn something like scripting, JavaScript, and so on, to look at the tools so that you can grow into this area and don't have a fear of this technology. It's all easy stuff. It's another language to learn. But I think it's a good skill to have these technical parts with you the next years and not only stay at the manual testing place.
Thank you. Thank you, Richard. I think we've reached the end of the time we've been allocated. I know you could sit here for quite a long time because I know there'll be a lot more questions there. But just to say to everybody, if you have popped a question in the chat, we'll try to get back to you on that. Richie, as ever, wonderful. Thank you so very much. Please, everyone who's listening, stay tuned in. We've got some fantastic sessions still planned, and don't forget the voting. We'll open that soon, I'm sure. Thank you, Richie.
Thank you. Have a good day.
See you all soon. Bye. Bye.